Blah. We've got to see how it's looking now. Alright, I think everything's finally together. Jeez. Yo, Twitch perfect time moments are always so funny, bro.
In my last video about how I made a lot of Robux in 3 days of work, half of the comments were actually asking how to get players in your game in the first place. Instead of stretching the video out to 20 minutes long like everyone else, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know without yapping. The first thing you need to do is to make sure that you have a nice game icon and thumbnail so that people actually want to play your game. The second thing, which isn't necessary but helps a bit, is having keywords in your game description. Make sure you also have emojis. It looks nice and players will want to play a bit more. Just make sure you don't exaggerate. You guys, keeping track of your game's analytics is detrimental in making your game popular. If your game is buns, it'll straight up just tell you. What you need to do is go in the Creator Hub, click your game, and then click Overview. If you don't have the button, then I think it means that your game must be open for at least a week, but I'm not actually sure what the requirement is. Now, once you're in the Overview menu, you want to make sure that all of these stats, all of these bars are either green, yellow, or worst case scenario at like the top of red. Now, let me explain how to raise each one of these individually. To increase your average session time, just make sure your game's enjoyable. If your game's an obby, make sure there's plenty of stages, and if your game's a simulator and incremental, just make sure the progression isn't too slow. I mean, you get the point. This is kind of straightforward, but you can also always go down the Souls RNG route and make your players AFK overnight for the best stuff. Okay, day 1 retention is the percentage of players that come back to the game after a day of joining. If your game's fun enough, this shouldn't be a problem. Basically the same thing as day 1 retention, but it's the same amount of players that rejoin but a week later. This is the percentage of players which will spend Robux on your game. Just don't show a ton of rainbow buttons everywhere on the side of your screen, cause yeah, just maybe add like a subtle notification or something. This is pretty self-explanatory. It's just the amount of Robux you get per paying player. This is the amount of players that play your game after seeing it in their recommendations. Again, make sure your icon and your thumbnail looks nice, and don't add unnecessary bloat to the game title. I don't think having a bad like to dislike ratio changes much algorithm wise, but if someone clicks on your game and notices a 30% like ratio, they're probably going to click away. To increase this, add like goals in the description or in the game. If you want to add a like counter in your game, here's how you do it.
Oh, he's just gonna simply show.
This is probably the most important tip in the entire video. You want to add a button in your game that invites friends. Here's how you do that. I've actually noticed that popular games are starting to prompt players to favorite the game more and more, and that causes the players to see it in their favorites and therefore increasing the day 1 and day 7 retention. So yeah, here's how you prompt the player to favorite the game.
Ads. Yup.
Okay, finally ads. Ads are an easy way to get players. Here's a rundown on everything I do when running an ad. You create a campaign, the name doesn't matter. I select lifetime budget. Now, lifetime essentially does like a wave of players every 2 hours or so, and it brings in much more players than daily, for me at least. Daily used to be the strat when the ad manager first came out, but yeah, it's not really like that anymore. You want to make the ad last exactly 1 day. I haven't tested different ad durations, but yeah, it just spreads out your players in that time frame. Alright, the next step is to create an ad set. You select sponsored experience, all regions, all ages, except if your game has like blood or mentions alcohol or anything like that. Toggle as many devices as you can. Just make sure if you select console that your game has proper console support. And finally, all genres. Now, the bidding.
Isaac was
This is
just
where
floating.
most people get it wrong. You want to actually bid like 0.01 or 0.02. And then finally, just select your game for the ad to run. And yeah, the ad should be working after like an hour or so of posting it. For 20 ad credits, which is 5,700 Robux, my average amount of players in total is around 2,000 to 2,500. I don't even actually know if those stats are good, so let me know in the comments how many players you guys get in total.
Wait, how many what was the stats that he said?
Ad
Oops.
to run. And yeah, the ad should be working after like an hour or so of posting it. For 20 ad credits, which is 5,700 Robux, my average amount of players in total is around 2,000 to 2,500. I don't even actually know if those stats are good, so let me know in the comments how many players you guys get in total.
Oh, okay.
Of course, if you see this video like a year later of it being posted, then the optimal settings probably changed, so I suggest you to just test around yourself. No, I'm just joking, there's no more tips. That's about it. Just please like and subscribe if you like these straight to the point videos, it will mean the world to me. And yeah, see ya.
Yo, my lag is incredible. Oh my gosh.
Do you want to know what the easiest way to make Robux as a solo dev is? Nah, I'm just joking. I'm not gonna start yelling and spamming sound effects like everyone else who just talks about it but aren't actually about it. There's actually two very easy ways to make a ton of Robux as a dev. The first method is by doing commissions. This is the best method. if you
Yeah,
don't have
commissions
enough
is definitely
experience
the
to make
best.
a full game. Commissions are kind of like jobs. For example, this guy wants you to build a cool house for his game, or he wants you to code a simple admin command system, or he needs an artist to make a thumbnail for him. Now, there are two ways to do commissions. The first way is by finding jobs on the Roblox Talent Hub. The link is in the description. The second way is by joining the Hidden Devs Discord server. Link is also in the description. And this Discord server is basically full of devs that are hiring builders, scripters, artists, and whatnot. And there's also like channels where if you have any errors, you can ask experienced people for help. Now, that was the first method. The second method to make a ton of Robux as a dev, which is the method I'm using, is finding a gimmick. Obviously this method is going to take a bit more effort since you need to like actually make an entire game. I'm going to take an example of my friend's game. It's called 1 Robux is equal to 2 shapes, and the entire gimmick is to make the server lag by spamming Robux, which therefore spams a ton of shapes, obviously. Now my game, called The Final Countdown, has 1.6 million visits.
Jeez.
It's still pretty active, but it doesn't compare to its 2,000 players it once averaged. And basically the gimmick of my game is to strike curiosity. The game has a 1 million second timer, which saves and is global across all servers. This timer can be brought down by waiting it out, spending Robux, or simply by doing things in a game like completing an obby or by playing Plinko.
What?
Right.
This is
Also, every time the
random.
timer approaches 0, there's like a massive spike of players, since everyone wants to find out what happens when it reaches 0, but since the game died down, there's no more spikes of players. Now here's the stats for both of our games. My friend's game, 1 Robux is 2 shapes, has 1 million visits. It took like a week to make, and it made him 1.5 million Robux, which equals to $5,245.
Jeez.
And now my game, called The Final Countdown, has 1.6 million visits and still has a few players playing. Took 3 days to make and made me 2.3 million Robux, which equals to 8,000 US dollars. But since I live in Canada, it's 10,874 Canadian dollars. If you don't know how to code, I suggest watching tutorials or by simply trying to understand other people's code. The way which helped me the most was to look through open source games and try to understand what each script and each function does. If you use this method, make sure the game is well scripted and isn't just a bunch of garbage thrown together. Also keep in mind there's also tutorials on how to build and how to make GFX and art and whatnot. It's not really that hard, it just takes a lot of practice. I bet after like a week or two of messing around in studio, you guys could be skilled enough to do commissions. And maybe like after 2 months or so, you can make a gimmick game like me and my friend and make thousands of dollars. The moment you give up is the moment you let someone else win, and everyone wants to view, but nobody wants to climb. Remember that. For more videos, please subscribe and like. It would help me out a ton. And here's a funny video I made, which you should definitely watch next.
We do have a Darman video set. We do have a Darman video set for today. We haven't watched Darman in a while. A while meaning like 3 weeks. But we got a Darman video for today. Spoiled kid charges up mom's credit card. He lives to regret it.
Charlie, dinner will be ready in 5 minutes. It's hot. 90? What in the world?
I feel like I would notice more that it was fucking boiling hot. You have your heat set to 90 degrees? Damn, why is it like kind of hot in here? I'd be fucking dying.
Hold on, I'm gonna restart OBS, dude. YouTube streaming.